Welcome to the town. It's a wanderer's paradise. You won't believe what's happening here. The locals are kind. The air is fresh. Everyone's lively like after coffee. Uncle Dan plans to settle here. What will Doryman say? But pies don't just fall from the sky. Some folks want to turn this town into their personal playground. One day, Uncle Dan went for a stroll and stumbled upon a gang of bikers. See, it looked just like a biker's picnic. He tried hard not to butt in, waited for the bikers to leave, and discreetly noted down their pompous antics. Despite bruised faces, the thugs nodded at Uncle Dan, who stared fixedly at the audacious ones. Quietly, he jotted them down on his blacklist. They were so cocky, they must have a big boss behind them, like movie villains. Vincent, the main guy's brother, is the local mob boss, and they really plan to take over the town and open a casino, so he must be their kind of summer camp. The locals became their stepping stones, and the threatened fish shop owner was one of them. Tonight, while seeing the doctor, Uncle Dan's wounds were practiced. Dan asked the doctor, after such a big injury, why not call the cops? Isn't that what good people do? The doctor shrugged. Relax, I'm not a good guy, I'm a bad one. You want to know why? That night, as Uncle Dan strolled into the square, he saw everyone running away like they just saw a ghost. The fish shop that was all of his and his wife's life savings. Dan felt it must be the work of those bikers. He turned and saw them lurking from afar. Uncle Dan went to the church, not to pray but to map out his next moves, like preparing his defense for a school debate. Meanwhile, Officer Gio found a clue. It turns out the video clearly recorded the star arsonist. He eagerly called to check the license plate, and who would have guessed that got him on the mob's radar. When the cop picked up his daughter, he received bad news. The teacher said she had been taken by a colleague. Gio shuddered. He rushed home, and when he opened the door, he found two mobsters chilling in his living room while his daughter was gently held. Subtitles: This is Vincent's brother, a ruthless guy who seems able to turn a cat into a lion. Gio will investigate the plot. As he was about to investigate, someone reported him to Draven. A gun pointed at his daughter. Draven warned Gio to stay calm. This is just a lesson. Next time, his wife and daughter will be targeted, like an extremely tough exam. Gio arrived at the clinic, and Dr. N helped him with his wounds. It was like a 20-pacing session. Meanwhile, Uncle Dan strolled by, overhearing Draven and his gang's antics, prepping for a classy party. While the family dined, the mob struts in again. Turns out they wanted him alive during the day to make him their part-time employee. Draven asked Gio to leverage his badge for smuggling, and the restaurant went silent, like a library during finals. As Draven felt mighty proud, he noticed someone glaring at him with smoking eyes, and he shivered. With no hesitation, he strutted up to the guy, thinking he was the only big boss in town. He thought this guy would be an easy target, but ended up biting into a heavy, hard dish. He reached out for a friendly touch, but was instantly restrained. Felt like he self-locked his own hand. That guy pressed on his pressure point, and with just a little more pressure, he'd end up forming on the spot. Following orders, Draven kicked all his buddies out of the restaurant, otherwise he'd find himself being shown the door. Subtitles: He was actually utterly defenseless, just like a toppled little kid. But he learned nothing and immediately gathered his cars for a revenge mission. Suddenly, his car sped in like it was catching up with an ex. Draven was dumbfounded. In that moment, Dan wielded a wine bottle like a magician, and for all currents assigned, problem solved. Draven pulled out a gun to fight back, only to find Dan smiling with hands raised. Well, talk about a power imbalance. The knife in his hand turned out to be his self-destruct button. His tragedy was more dramatic than a western flick. It was a joke. It took just 2 seconds for him to go down, and Dan calmly watched him fade into the shadows. The next day, a wave of cops rushed to the scene, and looking at the fallen, their hearts felt no. In fact, they were a bit pleased, because these folks were notorious villains like a well-spun twist in a drum. But hold on, it wasn't over, as Vincent's brother was among them, and he certainly wouldn't let this slide. When the chief got wind, he raced to Vincent's place, and the atmosphere was tenser than a sour plum. When the chief tried to talk him down, he noticed Vincent was busy with his brother's funeral, such a busy bee. The chief warned against rashness and letting revenge into business. What a shrewd businessman. Vincent listened to the chief, fuming with rage. He definitely wasn't one to let things go easily. The chief made sense, but he had never known mercy. Enraged, Vincent grabbed a knife and readied for his next act. Sneering, he told the chief to find the culprit fast, or he'd be prepped for a bulb change. Meanwhile, Uncle Dan was silently planning away. Looks like he's a bit of a mastermind himself. He contacted a CIA agent via encrypted number, sent them the hideout's coordinates, like passing secret docs. It didn't take long for Cole to find the hideout. Looks like it's an Operation Day masterpiece.